we need to recognize the return of Dr. Cosby and send a shout out to him and all the folks at the barbershop.
No, I can't do this. I'm triggered. I'm triggered.
You were saying before the show, like, what do you do if you're at a comedy club and Bill Cosby walks? Because apparently Bill Cosby's doing stand-up again. And like, what do you do?
Why isn't he in jail? I'm not even trying. Like, I'm not trying to be funny. Why isn't this guy in jail?
Well, because the first trial was it a mistrial? Yeah. It was a mistrial. They couldn't agree, which is hilarious. Like, I mean, how many people have to say that guy fucking drugged me and raped me? How many people, like, is there some sort of, could you imagine there's like 80 people that are telling the same story of you drugging them and raping them? And people are like,
look, and here's what I'll say, like,
get this sucker up to your,
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I don't want anything black and phallic near me right now. We're talking about Bill Cosby. This is too soon for this. I guess I just, and it's interesting that this happened after this weekend was the Women's March. And I know, like, a lot of people want to roll their eyes. And I was getting a lot of shit on Instagram for, like, the Women's March. You guys have it. This is exactly the kind of thing that I'm terrified of, is that this guy is now not in jail and he's just like back to doing stand-up. Yeah. Because I don't know if we got desensitized or if we just forgot about him or we just got sick of talking about it. Like, how, I just don't understand how people in that club.
Nobody saw it coming. I think he's, first of all, he has an enormous ego and he's a psychopath.
Correct.
And I think that he has enough fans and enough people in his community still love him, where he can go places in small places and they accept him, and then he's advertising it.
And what is that? Is that the people that accept him with this? Is it people who have their own skeletons in the closet and they see him coming back as like they get redemption in some way, or maybe it makes them not be incorrigible people, or is it like a herd mentality, or is it just star fucking? Like, how do you rationalize that in your head?
A little bit of star fucking, a little bit of dumb people.
The fact that he's famous eclipses the fact that he's a psychopathic.
But then there's also, do you remember how it was right after OJ got innocent? There was a guy, and I don't want to say his name because I respect him. He's a comic, and he went on stage.
Carrot Top.
He said, no, he's a black guy. He goes, my blackness will not allow me to think that OJ did it. And I was...
Interesting. Yeah.
I was like, what? What?
Yeah.
The fuck did I just hear? Like, that is insane. Like, okay, all black people are innocent? What if a black person comes in and kills your family? Will your blackness exonerate that person? Like, how are you going to handle it then?
And I don't know what do you know who was in that job? Was it all black people? I don't know anything about it. I can't read it. Like, I'm sick to my stomach.
You're going to be okay?
No.
I don't know if it's a black or white thing, but I think it's a culture.
On stage performing and there's not like a complete melee of disapproval, that's really scary to me.
It is scary. It's scary, but I think that there's a certain amount of people that get overwhelmed by celebrity. So he shows up, like, I can't believe he's here. They don't want to say anything. But like if Charles Manson
goes up at a jazz club, it's like he's a celebrity, but he's also a
Charles Manson's probably less of a monster. Here's why. I'll throw this at you. He never killed anybody. Charles Manson actually told people to kill people, and they did. And it's terrible that they did it. Like, Tex Watson did all the crimes. And what was her name? Squeaky Fromm. She was the one who tried to kill Gerald Ford. They're the one who did the crimes. Yeah. He was just this crazy fuck who talked these people into these things.
He was kind of the puppet master, But that's what scares me.
Bill Cosby raped who knows how many women.
And
allegedly.
It's also
allegedly.
It's also it scares me and shakes me to my core. Not that a psychopath does psychopathic things, but the people who permit it and who are permissive and are okay with it and don't resist. Like the fact that a bunch of people in that club were just like, okay, we're good. Okay, we're open.
Well, we don't really know what happened. We just know that he was there, and we know that he's going to do another show. And then he announced that he was going to do some show at a jazz club. It's like today, I think. Is it today or tomorrow?
And is this jazz club, I mean, I don't know who owns it. I don't know enough about it probably to weigh in. And I'm like frozen with disgust. It's like that's the other thing is like.
It was yesterday?
Yeah.
Oh, so it's already over.
Yeah. As promised, he performed at a jazz club today, but this article was yesterday.
Wow.
As promised. Like, oh, he's a man of his word. He might be a rapist, but he does not lie.
And he was wearing that Hello Friends sweater that he always wears.
What a fucking nightmare.
And he's got that Bobby Brown thing on.
I don't know what that is.
The microphone.
I'm triggered. I'm upset. I'm upset.
The microphone headpiece thing.
And I mean, I don't know. It's just so tricky because it's like I was getting all these nasty comments on Instagram this weekend. Like,
well, why are you getting nasty comments? For what?
Well, I think with what's going on.
Right. But why are they?
Because I was posting photos from the Women's March, which was, the march was about a lot of things. And I think just in the last month or so, there's been a little bit of eye roll of like, oh, this is still going on. You know, like there's a lot of, I think, guys and women also who are a little bit exhausted. Or I had one guy I talked to a couple weeks ago, a friend of mine, who was like, I'm done with this. Like, what do you mean you're done with this? Like, we're done with sexual predators being getting in trouble and getting fired and getting cleansed from our society and possibly, you know, stopping from assaulting people in the future. And they were just like, I feel like this has gotten ridiculous. You know, I think a lot of people think it's like a hysteria or it's like women being dramatic or something like that. And then something like this happens. And I'm like, oh, are we not being dramatic enough? Because this is crazy that he's just going on stage and performing like as if everything's just kind of fine again.
Well, I think he's a bad example because I think he's nuts. And I don't think it makes any sense that he's out.
I think anyone who rapes this many people is nuts. I think all these people are nuts. I think we're more nuts for just being like, okay, I guess he's doing comedy again.
But I don't think we are. I think most people are like, what in the fuck?
Are outraged.
Yeah,
right?
I sent it to Tom Segura, and that was his immediate reaction was like, what? He gave me like a bunch of
I guess I'm thinking about the people who are in that jazz club and the guy that owns that jazz club. Fuck you, guys.
Yeah, we don't know. I mean, we don't know who these people are.
Here's the thing. If I'm in a comedy club and Bill Cosby gets on stage, I'm like, I got to hear what the fuck this bitch has to say. Like, that's what I'm thinking. I'm not being like, awesome, Bill Cosby's here. So maybe I should give them the benefit of the doubt and assume that they think they're seeing some kind of circus show.
Well, I don't think I would say anything. I don't think it helps. Like, I don't think I would yell out, you're a fucking rapist. Mm-hmm. I don't think I would do that. But I definitely think I would sit there and watch and like study him like some weird fucking creature, which is what he is. He's an aberration in humanity. Like, first of all, he's an aberration in a couple ways, right?
Right.
He's an outlier in terms of the popularity he reached. Mm-hmm. He reached this insane level of popularity, and he did it in the 60s and the 70s when the world was a different place.
Right.
And we've talked about this a bunch of times in this podcast. I think a lot of people drugged people back then. I think it was normal. I think that dropping a Mickey in someone's drinks, I mean,
it was common, maybe not normal.
Yeah, that's a better way to put it. I think a lot of people did it. I think a lot of people
still do it.
Yeah. Well, but I think a lot of famous people did it back then.
Yeah.
I think they were giving out pills, and I think culturally we've evolved way more than we are aware of. I think we think of ourselves as being very similar to people from the 1960s. Mm-hmm. I don't think we are. I think we're I think if you go from like 1810 to 1870, I bet people are pretty goddamn similar.
Interesting. Yes. Okay. Good point. Yeah. Technology is moving so fast and adapting to that, and the fact that we have alarm systems. Right. Got it.
1960 to 2018, way different.
Yeah.
Fucking way different. What's acceptable, how people think of things, just how people. I think one of the things that's happening, one of the reasons why guys are eye rolling about the Women's March, is that it's a new thing, and this is this overwhelming amount of energy that's headed towards this thing. But what it represents is years, decades of frustration. Women that had to work with guys that were grabbing their ass and trying to fuck them.
That's right. The pendulum swang hard. It's like it snapped fast. And there's also, we always talk about this, and I'm obsessed with epigenetic imprinting. It's not just us. It's our moms and our grandmothers. Yeah. This happened to, and we carry that pain and that suffering with us. I think
there's a lot of guys that say, hey, I didn't do anything. I shouldn't have to feel this. But this is the thing. These guys saying, like, I'm done with this. You're not even a part of this.
Yeah.
Like, how are you done with this?
Why is
you don't have to go there.
How is this inconveniencing you so? Like, I don't understand
how... Well, I guess if you're stuck in traffic.
Well, I guess, yes.
Women's March traffic. That's it.
I mean, that's exactly right. So it's like a couple... I mean, you're in LA. You're always sitting in Women's March traffic.
But I feel that way about the fucking marathon.
Better. Yeah, about the marathon completely, and the gay pride parade, and the whatever. So it's like, I'm so sorry you're going to have to like sit in traffic for an extra 20 minutes, but like, you know, get your Amazon drone. Why are you driving on a Saturday anyway?
I get it. I mean, it makes sense. If I guess I don't worked in an office, I fucking hate it.
I guess I just don't understand why this is such a hassle for men. I don't understand why it's such unless you were raping people, assaulting people, hurting people, nothing's being taken away from you. And I feel like a lot of men think something's being taken away from them. And I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm just a little bit confused. If it's unfollow me, I don't know. Unfollow if it's blowing up your Twitter feed and your Instagram. I can't wrap my head around why this is such an inconvenience for guys.
I don't
and
think
what's so threatening about it.
I don't think there's that many guys that are saying this. I think most men, I think, are recognizing like that. If you look at the stories, like the Harvey Weinstein one is the worst and most egregious example, right? I mean, he's a guy that did it for decades. They even enabled him.
Cosby's pretty bad too. Yeah.
Well, Cosby's worse.
Right.
Because Cosby was like Harvey Weinstein was an obvious predator.
Right.
It's like, hey, don't go in the chicken coop with the wolf.
And here's something interesting. I was also getting shit about this about a lot of people are like, well, if you knew about Harvey, why didn't you say something? And it's such a testament to how.
Who said? Someone said that to you?
I just got some comments that were like, well, you knew about Harvey. Why didn't you say something? You know, when you knew about it 10 years ago or whatever.
What did you know?
But I had heard like, oh, he like sleeps with actresses and he like makes them fuck them. But I wasn't really in that world, so I knew about it. But what was I going to call up the New York Times and be like, hey, I was on Comedy Central for 10 minutes. I have an idea.
Right.
You know, like who was going to, you know, and it's like the kind of thing where we didn't even know what we were allowed to say. And we didn't even know that there was a possibility for change or that there was a possibility that anything would be done about it. Like that's how ingrained in our psyche it was and how we just didn't know there was anything. We just thought that's how it was.
Well,